Hi, Ben.
Hey, Anna.
How are you today?
Doing good, thanks. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, loud and
Yes.
Okay.
Ben, is Dave joining us today?
I have not seen him in the last bunch of hours. I'm not sure. I think he knows about it, but I can't tell you for sure.
Okay.
Let me ping him, all right?
All right, sounds good.
See what he says. Sort of critical to have the tree warden with us here.
That would be helpful.
Hey, Maz,
Yes.
I'm on my phone and I don't think I can call Dave at the same time. Maybe I can, but can you give him a call? You have all right?
Yeah, I'll call him.
Okay.
I have to look him up under a ski name now. That's how he's in my phone.
Isabel, will you send a quick text to John, please, and make sure he's still coming?
Yep, he just asked for the meeting passcode.
There shouldn't be a passcode, just you.
I actually sent him the link too.
Okay, great. Thank you. In Mexico.
John's in Mexico?
How did I miss that?
Oh.
He didn't answer. I'll try the house phone. He didn't answer.
Yeah,
his-
okay. Right, yeah, try the house phone. He's probably might be there.
Hi,
All right, so
John.
Cass,
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all set. No worry at all.
who's on? Just me, Mike, and John?
Yeah.
We do have a
Okay.
quorum, so we can get underway. We have a public comment today.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Rob will be joining, maybe in a little bit.
Okay.
But I think we can get underway if Dave can pop in a little bit. That's great.
Okay. Let's see if he pops in. If not, if we have a quorum, I think we can probably proceed without him.
I agree. So we can call this meeting to order at 3:06.
Okay, I just got to Dave. He's breaking off. He was on another Zoom meeting. He's breaking off and coming on to this one.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just gonna step away for a second.
I'll give him another minute.
John, where are you?
Rob,
Hello, can you hear me?
loud and clear.
Yep.
All right.
We are just waiting on Dave. He's hopping off of another Zoom meeting right now, Rob. We'll get underway.
Looks good, Rob.
Hmm. There's John.
I'm hearing first time in over 100 years.
Looks good.
Oh. I'm testing it out. Now that I have the time. We are recording this.
We are recording, yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah, we'll get some more detail there, like that. And I just have to, I guess, sit over and block the van. Sam, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm coming to you from Colorado.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, it looks nice and sunny there.
It is today. We came in a blizzard, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, but made for good skiing.
Yeah, there you go.
Making us jealous back here on this side. Just rain here.
Just
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, it was really, we came out on Saturday, and we were back in New York prior week, and we were having 65, 60 degrees. I was out on my bike riding around, having a great time. And then come out. But I guess now you're not doing so well, huh?
Well, interestingly, we had probably the sunniest March that I remember. But sadly, I shared that same sentiment with many people here in the office. And within 3 days, we got a massive snow event that just came out of nowhere. So
Nice.
I'm learning to bite my tongue.
And I know it's always sunny in San Francisco there,
That's right.
except in the
Always.
summertime.
Yeah.
You're just catching me at the golden hour.
Actually, you're just coming out of your rainy season, aren't you?
I'm not
Um,
really in San Francisco. I'm on
Yeah.
rainy season. This will continue for another 2 months.
I just got off the phone with Dave. I had to send him the link for the meeting. He couldn't find it.
Got it.
He's a good tree warden, but he's not he's not like a technology tree warden.
Well, you don't cut down trees with a computer.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least.
That's true.
Do we hear if we're ever going to get back to in-person meetings, or that's just way too far down the line at this point? Or maybe this technology is the way to do it.
I would guess
I'm
it'll
here.
be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Morning, Dave, or good
Yeah,
afternoon.
good morning.
Oh. Great hair.
Uh, I just had a conservation foundation meeting, so
Marathon. So.
All right, let's get this rocking and rolling.
All right, we got a quorum.
Certainly do, yes.
Ben's here. Yep. Okay.
Do you have the agenda with you, Dave?
I don't. I forgot. I didn't print it out because I forgot completely about this meeting today. So
Okay.
Dave, I
All right.
just sent you another copy. I just forwarded it again to you. To your email.
I'm happy to go through it.
yeah,
So-
why don't you just? It'd
Yep.
be easier to do that.
Sure. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the March 18th Tree Advisory Committee. With a quorum present pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order regarding open meeting law. The meeting will be aired at a later time on the town government's TV YouTube channel. Dave Shampoo, tree warden and chair, has ceded that to me today. So I am Rob McNeil, Public Works Director. Today's agenda, we have called to order with a quorum. And we're looking for committee to accept the agenda. Do we have a move to accept the agenda?
Motion to accept the agenda.
Seconded?
Second.
All right. And so technically, we need a verbal roll call vote on that. If we want to, I'll just go around the room as I see you. Mike,
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And Ben?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda is accepted. So announcements, we have application for the TD Green Space Grant. That application was unfortunately not selected. We were looking for a $20,000 grant to help us do additional tree plantings along the project areas of the Milestone Rotary area and the Appleton Road area. I think we still have funding available, but we were looking to try to offset some of that with this grant. Any comments on that? All right, moving forward, public comment. I see we have Mr. Phelan, Sam Phelan with us today. Mr. Phelan, do you have something that's on the agenda, or are you here to speak on something outside of that?
It was something that is off the agenda, but it's come up recently, I believe, at the Department of Public Works.
Okay.
You want me to do an introduction and whatnot?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Sam Phelan. I'm part of the Phelan family. My brothers and I own property at 57, 61, and 65 Pleasant Street. And recently there was issued, I believe it was by the Department of Public Works, some engineering for the possibility of putting sidewalk along Pleasant Street. Primarily, or I'm not going to say primarily, but it included the area from Williams Lane up to the Five Corner area. And our property is located on the, as you're going into town on the left-hand side there. It's what's commonly known as the Ivy Patch and the field. So we had recently been talking to Hillary at the Historic Commission and looking at alternatives as to what could be done there to accommodate the public need for a sidewalk, but also to try to accommodate an equal need to preserve some of the history of the island in terms of the, the open space there that exists. And the idea of public trees came up, and I was totally ignorant of what that means and how this committee might have an impact on helping us to try to preserve at least some of those trees along that roadway. So I'm coming to you for guidance here as to how we can work cooperatively to try to do something along that stretch of Pleasant Street. And I'll leave it at that. If you want me to get more specific, I can.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of those sycamore maples along there, Sam, are in quite bad shape and probably should be replaced. I mean, I think it's a dangerous situation, just as a sidewalk through there notwithstanding. I worry about those trees, something coming down on those, and like I said,
Well, would the
be.
town do something if they were dangerous, or is that up to the property owner to do that?
Well, I think, are they within the, Rob, are they within the town setback, or, I mean, or are they?
Yeah, sure. So I'm sorry, I was pulling up the plans. So I just want to predicate the whole, I wanted to obviously listen to Sam first, but predicate the whole discussion on, so probably at least 2 years ago now, the transportation planner at the time, Mike Burns, through the Plus Department, initiated a project to essentially look at transportation improvements along the Sparks Avenue, Pleasant Street, and Williams Lane corridor. It also included looking at Pleasant Street all the way up to Five Corners. And so there was a multitude of goals that were set out as part of that. One of which was sidewalk access from Five Corners down to Williams Lane. And so at that time, we started to look along the corridor to basically try to understand a little bit better, what the existing conditions were, what some of the challenges were. And clearly the Phelan property stands out as a tremendous resource along the town's, treed corridor. So we wanted to see about, incorporating that resource into the plans wherever we can. I've talked to, I think there are 3 brothers, Sam.
Mhm.
That are,
The ownership's a little complicated, but 2 brothers and a family LLC.
okay. So the family, through the conversations this office and the Plus Department has had with the family, and we've met out on the site several times at their convenience with various family members, which are, and I would say that to their credit, the story is consistent. So that's always helpful. What I'd like to do is sort of share my screen so that people can take a look at what we're talking about. But suffice to say that input from all the different parties along the corridor have come together with a concept. And that's all it is at this point, is a concept. So I'm going to share my screen and we can kind of take a look at this together. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right, so Williams Lane here, Pleasant Street here. And this property here, the first one in, the second one in is, I believe, 137.
That's what we call 65 Pleasant Street, I think.
Okay, 65 Pleasant. But
Yeah,
this is the first Phelan property. And then there's let's say the lower section that has the ivy floor and a bunch of
Yeah.
trees. And then you get into a driveway to the house in the rear and a big field along the frontage. And that's
Correct.
where I believe a lot of the sycamore maples are located.
Yep.
And we can take a look also. This should switch right over. Can you guys see this one now?
Yep.
The Google Earth image?
Yep.
All right, so if we walk up Pleasant Street, I believe you'll see this property is the first Phelan property here.
Right.
Correct, Sam?
Good.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Can I just
So-
make a note about a couple of the trees there?
Yeah, sure.
Right there on the right side of that driveway,
Here?
yeah, are 2 chestnut trees.
Yep, horse chestnuts, yep.
Yep, but I don't think there are an awful lot of those on the island. And the other day when we were doing some research, they actually were part of a layout of the King Garden that was done back in 1902 and got published in, I don't know, Home and Gardens or something like that. So they're pretty old trees and they do have some
Yeah,
historical.
I'd like to see those preserved.
Sure.
Yeah,
So some of the discussions that we had, just looking at the corridor, as far as the tree canopy, and clearly, with the limitations that the power has over this stretch, you can see how even further up, the tree canopy has been trimmed out to allow for the power lines to come through. And then any of you could jump in and tell me if that's elm or not, but to me, it kind of looks elmish.
That's an elm.
Then, we've talked with a number of the family members about, what makes sense or what's able to come through this stretch along the frontage that would make sense with the goals of the project, which is basically maintain vehicular traffic. And there has been discussions about possible one-way to have one-way vehicular traffic potentially bi-directional bicycle accommodations and pedestrian access within the existing paved way, or doing something different where possibly coming off of Williams, sidewalk turns into something that leaves the roadway and actually starts to meander behind the trees, to leave the trees directly along the street frontage, to be there for a longer period. Obviously, we realize that trees are, they're not a perpetual resource, but something that is a renewable resource that we need to continue to invest in. As they decline and get taken down, we need to replace them. So there are a few back in that section, through that section there. Then the driveway back to the house. And as I mentioned before, the big field along the way. So as Dave had mentioned, Sam, and we have discussed with the family, there's basically from the second driveway
Mhm.
along the frontage here, I won't say all, but maybe all, these trees here are really, they're in decline, or they're really not healthy trees. And I can't remember which brother I met with, and I can totally understand. He agreed that yes, while they are in decline, he would rather not see them taken down, if they don't need to be, in his lifetime, because he likes, the memories that he had climbing in them as a kid. And I could totally understand that.
That'd be Dick. Okay.
And so part of that is, working with folks that, have real experience with the stuff and understand it
Sure.
at a deeper level than I can, or that I do, because I don't have, that same level of knowledge with this property. There's other issues here, and once this regens and comes into focus again, there's some grade elevation change between
Right.
the roadway up here and the sidewalk, and then being able to transition something like that into the Phelan property comes with its own challenges because of the grade differential from the road up into the field. So again, in concept, the idea of putting pedestrians, on a walk path that goes behind these trees and potentially down through that ivy floor adjacent to the first property could make sense. Right now, I think it was Dick who told me that in the summer, it's often that the one section of split rail fence is actually removed to allow pedestrians to come up and do that same walk with their dogs through the field to stay off the road, give them a safe place to go. So I think there's some of the discussions we had to do with proactively planting replacement trees along the back of that proposed sidewalk in the field to allow those recessional trees to take over at some point in the future, when these that are directly adjacent to the street ultimately have to be taken down. And also working to try to screen out, the house or the property ahead of time. So it just depends on what there's a high level of input from the family, because we're looking to potentially place some infrastructure, some town infrastructure on the property. So I will go back to the plan itself. And so the blue area is on the legend here, potential right-of-way impact or easements necessary. And that shows an alignment that is directly adjacent virtually to the existing edge of pavement. And I would just characterize this whole project as we're really in a conceptual phase at this point, and continue to work with all the abutters, and particularly the Phelan family along this stretch, to look at different ideas that would work for what they're open to.
Okay. So that was a really nice description, Rob. And I think you've accurately described the family's preferences here of trying to avoid a modern 8-foot wide ADA compliant type sidewalk that takes down all the trees and does an awful lot of earth moving and whatnot. If we could do something that would preserve the concept of, a walk through the King Garden there and then along the field. That elevation change up in the field as it would join the other property. And I think that can be done fairly. It's going to require some earth moving, no question, but there's no trees up in that area. So it could be a good transition point from a sidewalk that's far back from the road and then transitioning into the existing sidewalk up there around Back Street or a little bit above Back Street into a surface level sidewalk right next to the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so from that standpoint, it's possible that, as you mentioned, we could deviate from the road edge and into the field a bit behind the trees,
Yeah.
down through the garden and then back up around the driveway. That's the first driveway.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly the thing that we'd like to explore. We also like and appreciate and understand the concept of trees aren't forever. But if we could begin to visualize and think about where this plan is going, the sooner we can get started on regenerating some of those trees, the better off we'll be.
Sure.
And in talking, we actually think it would be good to regenerate on both sides of the sidewalk. If Dave thinks that those trees up there in front of 61 are not long for this world, then maybe we should start planting trees in between as well as back, so that you could have a sidewalk that had a tree between the pedestrians and the traffic on Pleasant Street.
Sure.
I would certainly agree with that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, so to
Sooner
that
the better,
end,
I think.
I think what we could do in the shorter term is, Dave, if you want to block some time between now and I would say this summer, we could probably take a walk out here again and
Sure.
identify some areas where we could hypothetically come in and do some roadside plantings in the short term, sort of in between what's here, with the goal of trying to have some of that successional plantings along the road, while we continue to work the concept of putting the sidewalk and additional plantings behind and off the road. I'd be happy to explore that.
Just name the time. I'm glad to
Okay.
meet you anytime.
All right.
That'd be wonderful.
Yep.
If you want to try to coordinate with us when we're on the island, that's cool too, but there's no absolute need for that.
Okay.
As long as we can have these kind of discussions, it's fine.
Great.
Okay, just because I've had questions from the family, this concept of a town tree, what is that?
As far as the town tree goes,
Yeah,
town tree is essentially it's planted and maintained throughout its life. Typically, if it's deemed if it's within the town's right of way, it's our responsibility, but it also comes with determinations under the powers of the tree warden. It's not something that, that can be privately trimmed. It's something that's ultimately maintained by the town. And whether you can cut it or remove it or any of those things ultimately fall under the powers of the local tree warden.
But do they always exist on town land, or do they sometimes exist on private land?
Yeah,
They
they are sometimes within private land. And I don't know if there's specific easements for those here on island, but in some cases they actually do exist within physical easements. But Dave, you could probably speak to that a little bit better than I can.
Well, there's we've got a town bylaw that was enacted about maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And if the tree has been worked on like by the town 3 or more times, it's considered a town tree.
Okay.
There's a lot of trees that were planted on private property back in the 50s that became problematic
Right.
with new ownership and everything else. So
Right.
we got this enacted, and it's a pretty good, it's a useful tool to maintain the town tree.
So the town can take control of trees that it's been actively
Maintained.
either planted or
Yeah.
trimmed.
Yeah, I mean, we got, back in the 50s, there was kind of like easements granted by the current
Sure.
homeowner to
Yeah.
plant trees on their property.
Right.
But, as the properties have been bought and sold over the years, becomes kind of like a useless thing. So
Yeah.
it's a
Same
it's a
problem
good
that
way
everybody has with easements. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if it's been maintained, then we've got our feet on the ground there. So
Gotcha. Okay. Good. So thank you very much. Rob, Dave, and the rest of the committee. It sounds to me like we're talking about very similar concepts as to what to try to do here. And we'd love to work with you to try to make that a reality.
Okay. Sam,
Okay.
I know we've been talking about this for some time. I would say I'm encouraged by the news that the Plus Department sounds like they're moving forward with a transportation manager. So with any luck, this project will really start to move forward when that occurs. So in the meantime, though, with the feedback we've gotten so far from the family, I think it's probably time that we could spend with the engineer pulling some concepts together to have you folks chew on and give us some more feedback on.
Yeah, and again, we look at it and we say this is probably a long-range project that the town's undertaking, but to get started now with some of the plantings might be a good idea.
Yep, I like that.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Rob, before you go, Sam, Rob, do you have
Sure.
proper contact information for Sam?
It's a good question. Let me
Uh,
just double check here.
Sam, just in case, I'm gonna give you an email address. If you could just send me over some contact information so we have the most updated.
Yeah. Let me get something I can write on here.
Ready?
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. It is just DPW, as in Department of Public Works,
Yeah.
at Nantucket -MA, as in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
.gov, which is GOV as in Victor.
Okay.
All right, so just send over some good contact information, updated contact information, so we can reach back out to all the Phelan siblings.
Okay.
All right,
Shall do.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Sam.
All right, thanks a lot. Good meeting you all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Sam.
Sam.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you,
Yeah.
too.
And you as well.
All I
Okay.
gotta do is find the leave button.
Um,
There we go. I got it. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, Sam. All right, under citizen and departmental requests, we have request for tree removal at 59 Washington Street. Do we have any info on that one?
Where's 59 Washington?
That is,
Oh,
that's the
is that
tree that.
that elm?
On Francis and Washington, kind of, is that, I don't know about, maybe it's not Francis, but it's on the side street, actually.
It's on Lafayette Street or what's the other one?
Pulling it up right now. It's Fayette, near Fayette.
Yeah, right.
Who put the request in?
I think that came from,
Isaiah
either,
Truman.
go ahead, Tana, sorry.
I believe his name was Isaiah Truman. I might be mixing him up with another.
Yeah, I think that's actually Vic Ferrantella on behalf of his clients.
Okay.
Put that in there if I remember correctly.
Wouldn't that
Is
be
this a
something
tree
that
that's
they
on
bought?
Fayette? Ben, is this a tree that's on Fayette?
Yeah, Rob, yep.
I don't know if
that's
that,
correct.
it's,
Is that a different one?
So I'm looking at, I'm going to share my screen again. It looks like it's right on the corner here of the driveway. And it looks like it's been
That's right,
looks like it's been previously cut.
Yeah, it's like a multi-stem that is missing
Yeah.
a couple of them, right?
Can you guys see that?
yep.
Right.
Now Dale says he thinks it's pretty rotted. I think it's just the two former trunks that were never cut off properly that are the rotted part of it. I mean, they're American elms or an American elm. But if it is taken down, I think another tree, maybe an American elm, should be replanted in the spot.
Do we know if, do we have any information as far as, is this a planted tree that the town is maintaining, or is it within right of way? To me,
Well-
it's kind of questionable whether
Who
right of way or not.
has Dale maintained it in the past?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think we got to find that out. I mean, if they're applying for removal, I think it's probably a given that it's a town tree.
Isabel, do you have your computer open up still?
I do.
Can you look in the work order system, see if there's anything for trees on Fayette Street?
Yes.
The plan is to have Dale at every one of these meetings, and I'm not sure if what happened, why he's not here today, but Hannah, if you could just make a note to make sure Dale's available at the next meeting, that'd be great,
Yes, absolutely.
please.
Yeah, it's always good to have his input.
Yes.
But I think, it's not the greatest tree in the world. And there could be some basal rot there too, behind those stubs. So, and it's got a lean to it.
Yeah,
So it's probably not the safest tree that's there, but I think the area could be prepared if it was taken down and another tree planted in its place.
Right.
know,
So Rob,
go ahead,
go
Ben.
ahead. I was just gonna say, if you back up to the view of the entrance of the driveway, I think there's maybe just a little bit more behind the reason of wanting to take this down, right? Rather than just
But they want to straighten out the driveway.
purely for the so Right, so this is the condition there, right?
Based on the alignment of the driveway?
You're right. So, logic says that if, that's granted, then it makes that access a lot more manageable. However, I think we need to stay consistent to what, Dave is saying with our practice of if a town tree leaves a spot, another tree gets planted in it.
Yep.
There's no work order on Fayette Street.
No, there
Okay.
wouldn't be at this time. I mean, I've talked to Dale about it. That's pretty much it. And I think he's gotten requests from probably the owner or maybe Ferrantello about removing the thing.
Okay.
So, but
All right, so we probably need a little, I would say I definitely want to hear from Dale.
Yep.
At the next meeting about that. We could table that for now.
But you couldn't move the tree to the neighbor's yard because you'd need permission from the neighbor to plant on that property. I assume the property bound goes probably hard to the street.
We could do a little research on that as well.
Yep, yeah, that'd be good. Yep.
So, Hannah, if you could make a note there, we just have to touch base with Ken Bogrand regarding the ownership, the property plans for 59 Washington, please. All right, so next is 117 Orange. And this is the corner of Cherry.
Yeah, this is for the health club
Oh, gotcha.
or whatever it is.
Was this
Oh,
in
yeah.
was it the front or the side? Is it
I
the
think
front one?
it was the front. It's at Honey Locust. It's right there.
Sorry. So there's a little history here that I remember. When this was previously owned or occupied, there was an issue with a branch that came down, and the flag at full mast could occasionally make contact with the branch that was there. So I know at some point that was trimmed out, and I don't remember. I want to remember that we had reached out and just said that that was not a town tree. But
I think I'm guessing it was a planted town tree
okay,
because all the where it follows up the street where all the other trees are, like in front of Jay Fox's house, where and on up the street, the Fisher house on the corner of West Creek.
but are we talking about this one here?
I'm talking
Dave,
about
or
that tree there, right? That's a volunteer maple there.
this here?
But the honey locust behind the hedge
Yeah.
is, I mean, I know it's been worked on. Dale has worked on all those trees up that
Okay.
line over the
Yeah,
years.
it's got a nice shape to it, so I can imagine it was.
Yeah.
So that
And they're
makes sense.
companions with what's in front of the island home. All of them were planted about the same time.
Yeah. I think this is a fairly simple one because it sounds like that the request was to take this down for the convenience of the property.
Yeah, it's an asset. It's an asset, a visual asset along there. So I
Okay.
would be definitely against it.
So is that, so that one, regardless of what we're, or I guess we don't need further input from Dale on that one.
Nope.
What would people prefer on this?
I'd say I'm certainly voting no.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, so moved. Hard stop, no, for me.
Second,
Motion,
All in
so the
favor?
motion, just to clarify for the minutes, the motion is to deny a request to remove the mature honey locust at 117 Orange Street. Is that
So
your,
that, yes. that-
that's your motion,
yes.
Ben? Okay.
Yes, that's my motion, Rob. Thanks.
Second,
All right, all those in favor, roll call. Michael,
aye.
Dave,
I,
John,
Aye.
and Ben.
Aye.
All right, motion's unanimous.
I think also I just want to say on that, the street view picture, I believe that the cedar tree behind it and some of that stuff that's been close up to the building has already been taken down. I could be wrong about that. I'm just going on visual memory when I go by there. So it's cleaner than there now than it
Yeah.
maybe appears in that picture, but I'll do a double check on the drive-by.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. That's actually helpful too, because if they're new owners, I know they're certainly running a business there now that's new, but if they're new owners and they're, really taking a look at the roof and stuff, it appears that there was a fair amount of moss and such and, some limited light getting through there. So I could see.
yeah, the
where
honey
they-
locust shouldn't be it's a filtered light anyway. It's not.
Sure. No, it's pretty, I think even with the honey locust, the branching is up real high. If that cedar's gone, it should really help out.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to old business. We have general town tree maintenance plan from Dale, and Dale is not with us today. So we can move on from there. Tree planting policy. We talked last time about planting where trees have been recently removed with the same species unless there's a reason to change it. So I think that would be the policy. So, I mean, the plan from this department. We do have some additional stump grinding scheduled, I believe, in early April. And we expect to be putting out a contract that's going to allow for plantings in the near future. Is there a language that the committee would like to see specific to plantings that I could include? That's either a standard spec or something that you folks would like to see?
You mean size wise or?
I think anything having to do with procedures or specifications to ensure, the newly supplied, trees would be successful. That could be measured as part of under a contract. What I'm saying is we're likely going to be buying, 2 to 3 inch caliper stock. And if we're doing that, is there a particular planting procedure that you would like to see that's either a national standard or anything like that to follow?
Rob, what did you just say? You said buying a 2 to 3 inch what?
Caliper?
Thank you.
So,
I think it would be- Go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead, Ben.
are we looking maybe just for planting standards?
Planting
Sort of a-
standards, yes.
There are sort of standards from the ISA that I can look up and forward to the department. I'll see if I can get them right now while we're on this, but
Yep.
yeah, that's pretty easily obtainable.
All right, that'd be helpful. I'd like to, because we're doing this sort of for the first time, outsourcing it, that I have been involved with, and I don't have a previous example to follow. I just want to
Yep.
make sure that we're getting the language correct. And I'll be
Yep.
happy to share the draft with the committee to take a review and comment.
Yeah,
I was going to suggest, as Ben sort of said like, let us find just something, but it sounds like he's got a source for that. And then, as far as size goes, 2-inch tree seems a little small. Not that there's not applications for a 2-inch tree, but maybe we should be thinking of anything that's going to be, street side to be at least 3-inch. Just a comment.
Particularly maybe where it's exposed, a smaller tree I think is a better choice, but in town where it's protected, I think we could certainly go upwards of 3 inches.
Okay.
Dale's planted a lot of nice 4-inch and above stock too.
And you've got the, it's not a question of equipment, because the DPW certainly has the equipment, or if you're outsourcing it, whoever is doing the work should have the appropriate equipment too, to handle that sort of operation.
Yep.
So Rob,
Go ahead.
sending you, sorry about that, John. I'm just going to send you the ISA. There's a whole list of standards sort of categorized by type of job. I mean, down from irrigation to planting to staking and tree protection and stuff. It's all cataloged here. So take a look, and I'll take a look too, but just for the office, it's a good one.
The DPW email as well, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask the specs for planting the trees. Does the town have anything written if the contractor fails to meet the specs, the planting specs? So for example, I know working with other towns and municipalities in the past, if say this tree
John, you're really
after was planted.
John, we lost you.
John, we're losing you. We can't hear
And,
John's too far away from San Francisco.
John, we can't hear you.
A foot too deep. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That's better.
I think we might have lost you again.
So I was just gonna ask.
We can't hear you.
Are you on the roof, John? Climb up on the roof.
No, I'm gonna go out into my truck though.
So what I was going to add to this conversation is there's very likely going to be a fair amount of details developed in the coming year about plantings because some are going to exist in nice little grass strip areas. Some will be in sidewalked areas, and some maybe in completely different areas altogether. And I think it'll be helpful to kind of develop a standard for each one, just so that, we have a greater degree of success.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Perfectly.
Yes.
So one thing that I've dealt with in the past with dealing with like tree planting contracts in different towns and cities is most towns have, other than the specs for planting, they have, if you're found planting a tree improperly and it dies within a certain time period, that contractor is actually expected to replace the tree. So if I bid planting 3 trees along any street and I plant all 3 of them a foot too deep and they all die, I would be expected to replace those 3 trees.
Yep. So John, I think what would be helpful, because the town really doesn't have that level of detail in a package. If you have good examples that you've worked on before or worked with before and want to forward that, or even just tell me the town or city, and I'm happy to chase down some of that stuff so we can develop a good one here that incorporates that kind of warranty that'd be great.
Yeah, I can definitely help out with that.
All right. You could reach out to me or send an email to DPW. Either way is fine.
All right, perfect.
All right. Tree credits. The note here is updated, I believe, as of the last meeting with the credit balance. So those are, again, decent chunk of change spread out at the area nurseries. Any discussion on, or any questions or discussions on the balances for the tree credits?
I mean, it seems like Dale's been taking down quite a few, good sized trees, especially in the Orange Street area, et cetera. So I don't think it's going to take us that long to eat that credit up once we start planting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Another reason why I had applied for that grant, because it looks like we have a good chunk of change until we start spending it. And I think it's going to go pretty quickly.
And remember that we have a credit with, from the save, well, whatever. There's a tree credit at Surfing Hydrangea over and above what you would have on file there. It's like $6,500. I'm pretty sure.
What would that be for, Dave?
At Surfing Hydrangea.
What's the credit from?
It's the balance of the money that was in the tree fund. The fundraising, well, it was a fundraising, what's the word I'm looking for?
Initiative.
Okay. Well, we
Yeah.
could chase that down. Hannah,
So
if you'd
it's
like
there.
to.
I mean, it's there.
Yep.
And you
Yeah,
just-
I can call Surfing Hydrangea. I'll put that
Yep,
on my
yep.
action item.
I'm pretty sure it's either, I'm pretty sure it's $6,500
Okay.
And you said it's from a fundraiser?
from the Nantucket Tree Fund.
Okay, yeah, I can look into that. We can definitely add it onto our.
Is there a limit? What are the limitations as far as use of that and who's
Planting.
authorized?
Planting, tree planting.
Who's authorized, Dave?
Terry Palmette and myself.
Okay.
And there might be more money in the account still. I got to check on that. Because I think I still have another check in a drawer somewhere in this house. But I know where the drawer is.
Yeah, I think the finance director would definitely be interested in tracking that check down with you.
Anyway,
Okay, that's helpful. We'll follow up on that, Dave.
All right, just give me 1 second here. You said 6,500?
yep.
Okay, go ahead. We can continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I get a statement from Surfing Hydrangea every month, so nothing has been taken from that account yet.
Okay. We want to review the chapter 132 language for trees and shrubs. And I believe the last time we discussed it, we were going to set a specific agenda sometime this year to spend just talking about that. Is everyone still on board with that?
I think we got to cross that bridge for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, we should. And we do need a whole meeting to dedicate to that, I'm sure.
Okay. People are about to get, I would guess, a little bit busier.
Yep.
Is there a better time of year or the best time of year to do this? And keep in mind, it's a matter of meeting about it, talking through the potential changes or updates, and then taking that forward to ultimately to a town meeting for changes. So that's a process that typically begins in August or September and obviously ends at annual town meeting in the spring. So if we want, if it makes sense to kick to fall, I'm fine with that. I just want to get some input from you folks of what's the best time of year to deal with it based on how busy you get.
We should keep in mind that it will, just in case, it could likely take 2 meetings. I think there's a lot to go over
Sure.
and fine tooth comb it. So anytime that would be good to have consecutive meetings kind of fairly close to one another.
I would think in, the mid part of September to get it on the agenda that way. People are still busy per se at that time of year, but at least we're starting to look towards a quieter time, if there's such a thing anymore, and still have some focus in season.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember, have we gotten anywhere with the discussion of this at prior meetings up till now that might be useful to?
No, we really just keep deferring it for homework.
I thought we had a bit of a discussion about a couple of meetings ago.
I think you have a little bit. I can look back in some of the meetings, but just very, very vague and broad ideas.
Yep.
We could comb through some of the meeting minutes and prepare that for September, because I think while we've also provided copies of 132, I think leading up to that, we'll probably go ahead and do that again for September, October. Leading up to it, give you, this is actually really good summer reading. Right? When you go to the beach,
expected.
when you're sitting on the beach, you can comb through 132 and start making notes in the sidelines.
I
So
read the book.
I can reach out to all of you and we can, I think sooner rather than later, try and set a pretty concrete date for that so it can be planned and I can remind everyone.
Okay.
I think one thing we did discuss about that should be part of this is making sure that the fines for illegal pruning or removals are more substantial, a lot more substantial. That's definitely one thing that should be tops on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if there's there's another town that we can look to for their language and sort of the legality of it, and to what extent you can find somebody within the confines of the law. It's typical. We ran into this stuff a lot on the Conservation Commission, where the fines were, such that people would just do it and either pay the fine or, do it and beg for forgiveness afterwards and pay the fine. So I think we want to explore sort of the outer extents of what we can put into ours.
Yeah. With that, we could certainly reach out to town council ahead of time and have the discussions.
We have to anyway.
Yep. Yep. We can add that to our action list here internally.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Reach out to
Town council. All right, tree inventory update, including condition assessment and next steps. The tree inventory is, I would say, is fairly completed. The only thing that's happening now is those specific trees will be updated as they get removed or as they are with the stumps gone and all that. Like, there's a way to continue to archive the information, and then we would also note locations of new trees as we plant. If they go back in the same location of a stump that gets ground, we can basically show a new tree being planted in that old location. And so we keep that up as well. We're getting to the end of the elm tree pruning season. So that's been a real focus of the department. I think we'll be moving into a little bit more condition assessment once we're out of that. Come April, another couple weeks. And if this, I know this, and thank you, Dave, for running around a lot this winter, looking at potentials for, either pruning or removals, because there's been quite a few phoned in or just stuff that we've noticed that we wanted to take a look at and make sure it didn't turn into a danger, particularly outside of pruning season. But if there are any specific elms, I would say, that you know of that haven't been touched or feel like, need to get pruned before April, please either speak up or send us a quick note. I do the same as I drive around, and I know we start early. Some of those, the suckers that grow, you wouldn't believe, people don't believe me when I tell them that we did the pruning, in the winter during the pruning season, particularly for the elms, and until I show them pictures, because some of them grow so fast.
Do.
All right. Stump grinding contract, I did mention, and past couple meetings, and that is work that's it has been scheduled for April. So our contract, it's the same folks that came in to do the work last time, and we were definitely impressed with the job they did. And staff ended up putting back the sidewalk or curbing in those cases. And last under old business was there's a Lafayette at Francis elm tree removal.
Which we just
That's
talked about.
that's what we talked about.
Okay, so it's Fayette. Okay, Fayette.
Yep.
I can change that. Sorry.
That's all right. Anything under new business? I don't see anything under new business, but if there's anything from the committee, let's talk about that.
I was going to just bring up I spoke to Dave briefly about this, the elm tree in front of Murray's that keeps just getting lopped back and lopped back and lopped back every year. The tree overall is not a safety concern, but it's right at the top of Main Street, and it's not the best looking tree. So I was going to ask like individual tree advisory committee members to take a look at that and just do a collective, what do we think, moving forward, if we want to recommend that tree for takedown and replacement, just because it's in such a aesthetic spot on the top of Main Street.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to get any better.
Can you see this, Mike?
Yeah, it's this one, but it doesn't really show. Like, you'll see when you're driving up Main Street, you'll see that the top of it is.
It's not
Is it this one?
No. Keep on going down.
There you go.
That's it.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is. I
You
see
can
it
see
every time I drive up the street, and it's just.
You can see where they've done some pretty heavy pruning into these.
Yeah,
limbs.
and a lot of that's dead too. So it ranks right up there sort of with the trees on the
Yeah.
strip. I mean, it's not a very good example of a tree city USA. It's not a
Right.
good example.
The strip is
You
sort
know,
of a
the-
project in its own, and this tree is kind of just sitting here.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of an easier digestion and, plan to replant, but, I'm not trying to, it's just a discussion point, right now, it's just
No,
kind of
I agree with you though, that it's not a good tree.
just getting smaller and smaller every year. And Dale's done a ton of work in this area recently.
Yep.
The two trees, but either side of the bank are doing very well. They've grown a lot.
Yeah, those were really successful, and it hasn't taken long for those to get
I mean, look
a
at the
mature
size
look
of
to
them
them.
now. They're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, looking around though, I'm wondering if, like this one looks like it's got a grate that's moving. Things like that, we could probably revisit to see if those wells need to be updated.
I'd get rid of the grates.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Sooner than later. They're just
Yeah,
gonna
if
be.
they can be removed, I would. Any of those grates that can be removed should be. That's sort of, those things are really old thinking, and they cause more problems than they solve.
So if everybody gets a chance to look at it, and then maybe in the next meeting, we'll come up with we'll put it on the agenda for discussion or recommendations.
Yep.
Do we meet regularly throughout I can't remember what we did last year was such a disaster with COVID anyways, but if we continued a regular meeting schedule, we deferred.
I would be up for going to a meeting as necessary during the summer months, if that would be agreeable to everybody.
So weekly?
Yeah.
I think that's fine, Ben. We could certainly work on whether, any maintenance issues or problem trees. Certainly Dale and Dave can continue to coordinate. But if it's something that the committee needs to be present for, or any requests from the public, we could certainly take a look at consolidating some meeting schedules for the summer.
Yeah,
I think that'd be
right,
good.
that'd be good.
We'll keep April on the calendar, I assume, for a regular meeting.
Yep.
That'd be fine, yeah.
Did you get any feedback from any of the Appleton Road residents?
I'm glad you brought that up. So it was a strange situation with Appleton Road. I say strange because we had a Zoom meeting and we had Hannah and me.
And that's it.
So no one showed.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man, just you guys?
That being
What-
said, though, we did get a lot of response via email from quite a few different patrons who raised some concerns. A lot of drainage.
Yeah, they were definitely not tree related. They were just, hey, DPW, it's so glad that I ran into you at Stop and Shop, and now I'm going to tell you my pothole stories. So it was totally unrelated to trees, other than they
Yeah.
were very supportive and were excited that the town was interested in doing plantings along the roadway. So we got a couple emails that were very productive and helpful. And I think the next steps would be to put together an actual planting plan and put it back to them with some kind of a schedule. Beyond that, it was really about, hey, can you make sure you come down and check into this and check into that?
So if we're going to do that this spring, you would probably want the planting plan by the next meeting.
I would say, yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah. I can get that together. I do have the plan now from Paul Santos,
Okay.
and I have it imported. So from here, it's not a big job, and I'll make it a definite to get it done by the next meeting.
Are you
So-
gonna need, oh, would
I'll
you need a
need-
hand with that, Ben?
That'd be
Or-
great, John. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to like work on it. If we could work on it together, that'd be great.
All right, so
Yeah,
what
feel
I'll,
free to shoot. Go ahead, Rob.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, what Hannah can do is just forward the emails that we received. So you
Mhm.
guys can take the feedback that we got from the individuals. And I think a couple of them just specified preferred species off the list that we gave them.
Okay.
All right.
Rob, we should probably work on, if they're going to do that with the planting plan, some sort of response to the other questions. Typically that one that does come to my head is that drainage email with the photographs. I can't remember. And if we have any follow-up that we want to share in regards to that for longevity of the trees and how that's gonna look.
Yeah, okay. What we could do is find some time to go through that. I think you and I could find some time next week. I
Okay.
would say probably just find a point on my calendar for a half hour of our time and we could just review it. And then get that stuff over to John and Ben.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. What else? Rob, any update with Bartlett Consolidated about the cherry tree at the Milestone Rotary?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Where's that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, number 8.
Yeah, I apologize. I was scrolled down too far, but
Okay, no, that's fine. We could start at the bottom, work our way up. So Milestone Road, the cherry tree damage, we did end up getting a credit for that. And that's been squared away. That's all set. Stump grinding contract we talked about. Recent DPW actions, other than the ones that you folks are aware of. What the intent is that we're going to put into each and every agenda will be actions that the department has taken over the course of the last since the last meeting. And we're going to be working on that. And that will be available to you through the agenda when it gets sent out, so that you can take a look, bring questions or anything, and then hopefully, or not hopefully, we're going to have Dale participate in these meetings as well. So if any questions do come up about any of the action items that either have been taken or exist as work orders, we can have some good back and forth with Dale.
Right.
We have 15 Orange Street was on here as an action item. And I think that one was that reported by you, Dave?
I don't think it was reported to the DPW when the piece of the tree came down, I believe. It might have been, I can't remember.
I mentioned it in the last time we met live, but I think it's down now, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a dangerous tree.
All right, and then Dave and I, you've talked about elm tree disposal procedures.
Yep.
And something that we could add hypothetically to the Chapter 132 language, or just simply as a department policy.
Yep, absolutely.
So that should be added, Hannah, to the 132 meeting come
You
September.
want that to kind of just be combined.
Yep. Appleton Road we talked about, so we can update that once we do have a planting plan.
Mhm.
10 York Street. Looking that one up.
Okay, that's the Catalpa that got pruned.
Right.
Ely-
Oh, that's the one that we were trying to find the person who
Right,
who cut it. Got it.
Do we have any way of figuring that out? Is that in the works? Any assistance needed by me?
Didn't Jeff have a name that he?
Yeah, he
to us?
never shared it with me, so I don't know.
Okay. Wanna See if we can get
Well, I
some
can reach out to
information.
Jeff and see if there's any assistance that we can offer him.
Yeah.
Get that off of here.
Right. And lastly was 38 Westchester. And that was, that's back on me. That's the neighbors that
Right.
cut the materials that we had agreed to without prior, so technically they had permission, but the idea was that they were supposed to set up the credit prior to taking action. So that still needs to get worked out.
So they haven't come up with that yet.
Correct.
I think,
All right.
yep,
So we'll be providing our updated action list for next meeting. And is there anything else for the good of the group? Any items that do come up between now and the next agenda, just if you want to see it on the agenda, please email DPW. And I think that's it.
okay,
Before everyone jumps off, I just want to really quickly introduce Isabel. She kind of listened in with the meeting today. If by chance I need to be out of the office for any of the meetings, Isabel will be kind of our fill-in. So Isabel, just if you want to say hi and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting me listen in today.
Thank you, Isabel. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you, Isabel.
Thanks,
Thank you
Isabel.
all.
Hannah, what are you going on, like a summer schedule or what's?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a few months off if that's cool.
All right. Thank you all.
thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
great day.
Rob, I'll
bye,
talk to
everybody.
you in a minute.
Yeah, you can stay on if you'd like.
I'll give you a call.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.